Hi guys, Monday Madness again. It's Victoria Terrazono coming to you live from Melbourne for those of you who don't know me. And yeah, if you're watching this live, that's great. Give me a little comment down below saying live. And if you're watching it on the replay, let me know via replay. It's always nice to see if people are coming on after the fact and what they got from it or didn't, and if anyone has any comments to add or anything that they want to put in, just stick it there and I'll try and answer them as we go. As you can see, the title of today's live is Not My Problem. It's not my problem. I kind of alluded to it a few weeks ago. I said that I've always been a bit of a problem solver. I quite enjoy problem solving. That's what I do. I tend to get involved in a conversation and someone will come up with a problem, and without even thinking about it, I will just start trying to come up with answers. That's my approach. That's my response. Hi, Jessie. How you going, babe? Looking forward to seeing you soon again, hopefully. It's been a while. Hope Bush Playgroup's going well. But yeah, so problem. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to solve it. I'm not thinking about whether it's mine to solve. I'm not thinking about whether it's anything to do with me or anything to do with it. I'm not even thinking about whether the person told me the problem with a view of getting it solved or not. Mainly because my viewpoint when I have a problem is that I want an answer, to be honest. And when I talk to people about my problems, it's not for sympathy, it's not for empathy, it's because I want answers. I'm looking for a way to fix it. Never occurs to me that other people think differently, and I know I should, but it just never occurs to me. For some reason, I walk around assuming that everybody out there knows exactly what is going on inside my head. And I know that's like what 5-year-olds do, but I never really grew out of that. So that's what I'm doing. And in the last few weeks, obviously part of my job now, I'm doing a lot of personal development. I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to improve these things that I get wrong. I think that comes with the parenting gig as well. So having the little mirrors in the house has, sort of helped me out. And I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, a few people, a lovely lady that I've met who is imparting so much wisdom to me at the moment. It's a wonderful girl by the name of Rachel. Rach, if you see this, you're a legend. Your knowledge is outstanding. I'm learning so much. And she mentioned to me one day how a lot of the things that helped her was the wonderful work of a lady by the name of Byron Katie. And I was like, I don't know who Byron Katie is. I've never heard of Byron Katie. And she just said, yeah, I did a lot of this. And she sent me some of her videos and I was like, okay, I'm going to get on those. And within like a week, I was watching some training with some amazing mentors in my business, a wonderful lady by the name of Linda. And funnily enough, she talks about Byron Katie and her website called The Work, www.thework.com. Okay, totally free, totally awesome resource, absolutely amazing for helping you, I don't know, review your thoughts and your processes and how you manage. But when you sit there and go, I think when you hear the same thing over and over again, obviously you're meant to hear it. There's something you're meant to take from that. There's something you're meant to learn from that. So having never heard of it before, within like a 10-day period, 2 people mentioned to me the work of Byron Katie. And I sat there and went, that is obviously something I am meant to know. That is something I need to go and look up. That is obviously something I'm going to need in my future. So I went and I had a look. But the interesting thing was like the slightly different takes that everyone seems to have on it and sort of what they do with it. So my mentor and wonderful lady Linda, she was focusing more on the idea of there are 3 different types of business in the world. And she said, and whenever anything is going on and you're dealing with it or not dealing with it or processing it, also in my case, we're going to go with problems as an example. So when there's a problem, you have to ask yourself, whose business am I in? Is it my business or not, basically? And so she says there are 3 different types of business. There is God's business or nature's business, depending on your beliefs and your background. I don't have any judgments on those, and I don't really think it matters which you believe in. There is something out there doing something, and everyone's pretty sure that that's going on. And it's probably to do with the interconnectedness and all that kind of thing. But there is that. So that would be things like the rain, the flowers, the sunshine, the wind, things that you have literally no control over and that you can't do anything about. And then there is obviously your business, which are the things that relate to you specifically. And then there's everyone else's business, which is nothing to do with you either. And she talked about the fact that a lot of us, for example, would never once consider, like, if it started raining and we didn't want it to rain, not once would we consider shouting at the rain, because we all know that that's pointless and it's not going to get us anywhere. It's not actually going to change anything. Have to be honest, sometimes I do shout at the rain. And I mean literally shout at the rain, not just sort of metaphorically do it about things that are related. I actually mean sometimes I do literally shout at the rain, which is, yeah. But that's just to get it out of my system. That's not because I actually expect the shouting's going to change the rain. And I think it's a lovely metaphor. So I actually put a quote on my Facebook page probably about a week and a half ago. It literally said, "Stop shouting at the rain." And it was my daily reminder, because there are things that my son just can't do yet. And he just can't do them. And I can sit there and say he should be able to do them because he's 7 or whatever else. But funnily enough, that's not actually how skills work. Skills don't come up based on age. Like you can't really expect someone to behave a particular way because they're a certain age, because behavior really is not linked to age. This is the thing that I've really learned over the last year. Behavior is linked to overwhelm. Behavior is linked to demands outstripping capacity or skills at any given time, and they have absolutely nothing to do with age. So for me to say, oh, he should be able to do that because he's 7 is just unfair and downright mean. And sort of expecting him to do that or yelling at him about that is not going to change that, you know. And sometimes I find myself sort of saying things to him and then thinking, what are you doing? He can't change that. He can't do anything about that. So yeah, it's been very useful for me in terms of just another stop and think and consider before you do something. And yeah, I'm really excited to actually get on board and have a look at it and do it a bit more deeply. But I wanted to share a little bit of what she said. So on her on the entry page to the work, when I logged on and had a look at it, which again I haven't actually finally fully done it, but I've just sort of got ideas and tips, and I will be doing a lot more on it in the coming weeks because I think it's fascinating. But she actually said, when I believe my thoughts, I suffer. When I don't believe them, I don't suffer. And she thinks that's true of everybody. And this, funnily enough, linked back to another training I did with another leader that was talking about the fact that we are not our thoughts, we are observers of our thoughts. And it's funny how all these things all interconnect and all the ideas are all very sort of similar and supportive of each other and stuff like that. But we're back to, just because you think something doesn't necessarily mean that you have to act on it, and it certainly doesn't mean it's true. And if you analyze that thought and sort of question, where did it come from? Why is it there? Is it even my thought? Is it my opinion? Is it something that I'm getting from somebody else? Should I be believing it? Should I not be believing it? You know, things like that. So Byron Katie has 4 questions that she asks in relation to these sort of inner thoughts. And the first one is it true? And she says, obviously, it could be, you might go, yes, actually, that is true. So like if I have a thought that says, oh, I'm not a good parent. I get this thought a lot, by the way. Over the weekend, I did a lot of self-development and I cried a lot. Like I cried. There's stuff that I knew, stuff that I hadn't fully appreciated. I cried, okay? One of the thoughts was, if I think for myself, for example, I'm not a good parent, the first thing I have to do when observing that thought is ask myself, is it really true? Now, that's a hard one. I kind of think maybe, but the question is, okay, so if you say that you believe it is true, then you have to ask yourself, okay, how can I be absolutely sure it is true? So that involves coming back from, okay, where does the thought come from? What is the source? What is the evidence? What is the supporting information to tell me that this is true? How do I know that that is true? To be honest, I think it's more in this case, how would I know that's not true? Like, it's really hard to tell what you're doing with parenting until your kid's like 25. And by then it's probably a bit too late to actually change anything you've done anyway. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm a good parent or not. I have no clue. I'm hoping that the very fact that I even worry about these things probably means I'm not too bad, or at least I'm trying, which is good. But I don't know. I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it started. I know it's certainly a belief that I sort of bought into for quite a long time. So the third one would then say, okay, how do you react? What happens when you believe this thing? So the reaction is actually, I feel pretty rubbish. I feel pretty crap. And for a while there, I actually felt like there was nothing in my life that I was good at, because I was pretty successful. In what I did. I was in the corporate world. I was pretty darn successful. I did really well at what I did. And yeah, there were things in my life that weren't great or that I wasn't fantastic at, but they were offset by the fact that there were things that I was good at. And let's be honest, everybody feels better when they do something that they're good at. Okay. And then I wasn't working anymore and I had children. And I didn't think I was good at anything anymore. So that was a bit confronting, to say the least. So that is probably how I react when I believe that thought. And then it says, who would you be if you were without the thought? That one is a very freeing thought, actually, because if I didn't think about parenting and, all that. Sorry, I think we lost connection there for a little bit. Oh, Rach, hi, how you going? I'm sorry, Hannah. I hope this week isn't too tough. I'm trying to reconnect. There we go. So all I would say is, ask yourself a couple of questions this week. One of them is it my business? Okay. When you're trying to sort out a problem or whatever, is it even your problem to solve? Possibly not. Might belong to somebody else. Because you see, this is the other thing. I really struggle with time management, right? Obviously because I'm not great with time anyway, and because I get hyper-focused on whatever I'm doing, and I struggle to be aware of time passing anyway. But I struggle with time management. And some of that is partly because I take on stuff that actually I don't have to do, or isn't necessarily about me, or isn't my responsibility. And yes, absolutely, I believe in community, and I believe in helping your community, and I like to help my community. But balance is really, really important. And I think doing other people's stuff is okay as long as you're still doing your own stuff. If you're running out of time to do your own stuff and you're prioritizing other people's stuff, that's not good. It's not good. Just sort of maybe when you're doing things, particularly if you are tight for time, ask yourself, do I actually have to do this? Can I delegate this to somebody else? Could this be somebody else's responsibility? Is this actually somebody else's problem? Do I not even have to be involved at all? So that's a really good question to ask just right at the beginning. And then all those internal thoughts that you have that might have absolutely nothing to do with jobs or business or whatever, but are sort of holding you back or taking up time because they're sort of affecting how you're feeling or how you're behaving. Maybe just observe those thoughts and question them a little bit more. Like I say, in terms of parenting, it's been really interesting for me, like what I expect of him and whether or not that's realistic or not, and how fair it is to ask him to do certain things and whether he even has the skills to do that, and, sort of how fair it is to yell at him about those things or not. That's been a really freeing process for me. And it's been really interesting on how it's affected us as our relationship, I suppose, sort of mum to child and all that, and respecting where he's at and what he can do and building up what he's good at, and not shouting at him for things that really he just isn't there yet. He isn't there yet. I can wish he was, I can say he should be, but he's not there. There's other things that he's not just there at, he's exceeding at, and I don't shout at him for those. And I don't say to him, well, you shouldn't be doing that because you're not 14, so I suppose my two big takeaways this week that I'd sort of like everyone to think about or to know is, one, everybody struggles, like literally everybody struggles sometimes, and that behaviour is not related to age. Behaviour is related to skills and capacity and overwhelm, and we all of us have a default behaviour, whatever that is, that we've done ever since we were a kid, whenever we're overwhelmed. And as we get older, yes, absolutely, the circumstances it takes to overwhelm us are usually greater. We have normally developed resilience or the ability to cope a little bit more. But behaviour is still behaviour, and it's not something that goes away with age, really. It's just something that gets better controlled with age. So executive function is really, really slow to develop. It develops at such a completely different rate in every human being. And I think sometimes I know people say kids will be kids, and they're like, yeah, whatever. But to a degree, kids should be kids. I don't think we let kids be kids anymore. They're very much little adults now. And I think, letting them be kids is a really big start. But internally, like I say things to myself in my head that I would never say out loud to other people, and that's wrong. And I got another really good tip this week, actually, from a dear friend of mine called Beck, who is just the most adorable soul. She really is. And she was talking about things we do with our kids that we would not do with other adults. And I thought that was interesting. So I'm trying to think of an example. What did we say? Okay, so not everyone does this, but, some people do this. Some people talk about their kids when they're in the room, and I know I've done it. And, hands up, I have done that, And she made a good point that if there was an adult that was doing something or whatever, or that something had happened or whatever, and they walked into the room, you would not talk about what they'd done or how they'd done it or whether it was right or wrong or whatever in front of that person. So why would you do it with a child? And it's kind of those little things, those sort of like, why do we do that? We're back to questioning what we do can really impact how we behave in the future. The problem that I've got, I think my biggest learning curve the last couple of years has definitely been the Ross Green stuff. As any parents out there, right? The work on you needs to come from The Work, which is www.thework.com. And that's Byron Katie, and that's amazing. And that's really going to change sort of how you manage you and your emotions and your issues. But in terms of like parenting and stuff, like they say there's not, there's no manual for parenting. I would actually disagree with that. I found it. There's an amazing manual for parenting. It's written by a guy called Dr. Ross Green. He's in America. He has a website called livesinthebalance.org. And he has, it's not even a parent, it's just a human model. This is what you need to do to be human. Okay. And he's developed a process called CPS, which is collaborative, proactive solutions. And it's all about working with others and respecting others to come up with solutions to problems together. And it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. But one of the things that he says is, we all do our best until we know better, and then we do better. And I do rely on that a lot. But you see, the thing is, before I found this parenting and I understood all about this, I could sit there in a way, in my ignorance, and say, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And in a way, that was easier, because now that I do know what to do, sometimes it's really hard to say to myself, well, actually, you know what you should be doing and you're just not doing it. Why are you not doing it? So I'm sort of struggling with the change, with the moving from this is how I naturally do it or automatically do it to how I should be doing it. So I'm constantly having to pick myself up. I'm saying things and then having to correct. I did it in the playground today. He was coming back at me and did something, and I sort of snapped at him a little bit. Like, I said something, but it was the way I said it to him. And I was like, you've got to stop talking to him like that. I was actually saying that to myself in the middle of the park. Like, you've got to stop talking to him like that. And it's really difficult to correct what is almost a default behavior. But it's really good to do it. And everything starts with knowing that you've got to do it. So it's not necessarily about doing things out loud or making big changes. It's just about asking quality questions. Ask yourself, is this even right? Why do I do it? Why do I believe this? Why am I sticking to this? Do I do this because I have to? Do I do this because I should? Do I do it because I believe in it? And just question everything. Question everything. Life is short. Question everything. Question everything, because that's what helps us grow. That's what helps us learn. That's what makes us better, I think. Does anyone have any thoughts about what they've learned recently, or things that they've been doing or that they're trying that is interesting? No? Okay. Well, that was my spiel for the day. I'm going to go off and do a bit of work now, and then hopefully get to bed before midnight. And I'm really looking forward to this week, actually. It's exciting. It's end of month, so there's always lots of energy around that. And I had a good cry on the weekend and a good sort of soul search, and did some extra development. So that was really good. So now I'm all set. So I personally am going to go off and have a great day. And do you know what they say? They say, visualize it and it will be. So I'm going to go and have a great week. And I really, really hope all of you guys have a great week too. So thanks for listening. And let me get that off my chest, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.